a few books.
And a lot of times I get the question, like which Catholic Bible is the best one? Like what's the best translation?
So two-part.
There's no good translation.
Hebrew and Greek.
I'm serious. The difference between the Catholic and the Protestant Bible is that the Catholic Bible has 73 books. The Protestant Bible has 66 books. That's the big difference. There are a few little wording differences, but when it comes to the New Testament, they're very, very the same. There's not much difference in those. And when it comes down to what is the best translation, let me try and explain it this way. Translating from one language to another is fraught with danger and minefields.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, that you are Russians, okay, and Russian is your main language, and you're just learning English. And I did something really stupid today, and I embarrassed myself. And so I tell you guys, I was talking to the guy today, and I really shot myself in the foot. The Russian is going to drop to his knees, look at your foot, and see if it's okay. But I know what I meant. It's a figure of speech. I meant that by shooting, it's like Barney Fife, in Andy and Mayberry show. He always pulling his gun out of his holster and shooting himself in the foot. It means he did something stupid, But for somebody in the second language, they think you literally meant you shot yourself in the foot, and they go down and see if it's look at your foot and see if it's wounded.
I'm on the wrong path.
When you translate a Bible, when you translate a Bible and you translate from the Greek or Hebrew into the English, and there's a phrase like shoot yourself in the foot, what are you going to do with it? Because that's a Hebrew figure of speech, something we don't have in English. So are you going to be literal and say, and Jesus said, I shot myself in the foot? Or are you going to have Jesus say, I did something stupid and made a fool of myself, which is what he meant? See what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
How you translate the Bible from one language into another is very difficult. So you have some translations that we call literal, which are way over here, and they translate exactly the way the Greek says it or the Hebrew says it, even if it's going to be confusing for an English reader. That's the literal. The other one's called dynamic. It's trying to tell you what Jesus meant. What does the Bible mean? Not literally, but what does it mean? So it'll translate things in a way that English reading people can understand what Jesus was trying to get across. So which one of those do you want to read? You can find some in the middle. You can find, I like to do is I have Verbum, I told you. So I have 35 translations of the Bible right here on my screen. And I can, at any moment, at any verse, click one button, and it'll put I have 15 different major ones. I can instantly have that verse in 15 different verses and translations, so I can compare those 15 and see. When you do that, you get a really good idea what the original languages are. Better yet is with that program, I can click the right mouse button on that word, and it brings up the Greek word and then a whole dictionaries to explain it right there on the screen. So I don't need to know Hebrew or Greek. I can just click on that button and it'll tell me from the Hebrew and the Greek what that word actually is and where else it's used in the Bible. So I suggest that people have several translations. If you want ones that are Catholic and approved, the New American Bible, which we use at Mass, it has some very good points to it and some very bad points to it, but it's more of the dynamic. What is the language trying to tell us, where it's going to tell you not literal, but what it means. And it does have some very good aspects to it, that translation. But then you could go to the other one, which is the Revised Standard Version Catholic Edition, which is that one, but it's not used at the Mass, but it is a Catholic version. That one's going to be more literal. They got a new one out called the English Standard Version for Catholics. You've got the Jerusalem Bible. So there's a lot. I have articles on my blog about translations, and we as Catholics interpret it differently than Protestants do as well. We could discuss that someday. What's the difference between what are the basic steps or rules for us as interpreting the Bible and them as interpreting the Bible? But the translations are difficult at best, but there are some very good ones, and I would read several together Have one that you read all the time, but if you have a question about that verse, pull out 2 or 3 others and look at parallel translations, and you'll get pretty good idea of what the original is by reading those various ones.
Makes sense.
Man, that's